gentlemen. Ken Tizzard here for, what are we at? Oh, wow, we're at episode 5 already. Holy crap. Okay, today, this might not be a very long one. Or it might be a long one, I'm not sure. It's going to be a loud one. Hollow wooden deck. So, all of this little stuff that you see me doing here, I'm moving around on my skateboard, but I'm not really going anywhere. And there's a way I'm doing that, and it's using a thing that I have learned. It's called a pivot. A pivot is when you remove two wheels from the ground and move them through space and time to another location while spinning on another set of wheels. For example, these wheels are going to stay on the ground. Oh, look at that, through space and time. Oh, again. These are called pivots. They're awesome fun. Now, for those of you just starting to skate, I'm going to use these just so, A, if you're using them too, you can see what I'm doing. B, it's just while I'm trying to talk and stuff. It's hard to do these things for 10 minutes without running out of breath and sounding like a wheezing old man. Okay, we're back to pivots. So when you're standing on your board, or when you first get on your board, say for a second that you're in your space, you get on your board, you get into your position, boom, front foot over bolts, back foot somewhere in this little pocket thing here. It might be back off the tail. If you're ready to do a flip, it might be deeper in the pocket if you're going to do a push or a shove or a twist or whatever. From this position with your front foot forward, don't forget I'm goofy, so for the others it's like that, but backwards on the feet. With your front foot forward, that's a pivot. And a series of these pivots in the back and forth once you get used to that, this motion turns into what they call a tic-tac, which is where you actually use the momentum of your swings to move forward and or backwards. You do that over a succession of time. I can't do it in here, but it's a very important thing to know how to do, and the action is based on pivots. So that's really important. Now say you're going somewhere and you need to turn. On most skateboards, like on this skateboard here, for example, this one is set up pretty loose and it's set up for skating in the bowl. But when I need to turn on this, I carve. I go like that and I go like that, and the board will do its correction for me, whatever it is I want it to do. On a freestyle deck, that doesn't happen as much. This deck is moderately tight, and you can see even with my full weight, it doesn't move very much. So pivoting is your main way of turning when you're going anywhere on a freestyle deck. Pivot is very important. Now, if you want to do, these have all been front pivots, left and right, front, left and right. Now, what if I want to switch it up and do backside pivots? Exact same thing, much harder. Your reverse pivots are really hard. But what I find helps, and what really helped me is, rather than going into your reverse position and trying to do these big pivots, before you get to that, get your board set up with your feet equal distance apart, just outside the trucks, just on the outside of the wheels. You can see where my toes are, and from here you should be able to lean and lift up either side. And from here you can kind of get this motion going. Now for some skateboards you might have to be a little bit further. Eventually you'll learn how to kind of navigate that yourself. Going back and forth, a little bit more outside maybe. There we go. I'm going to do a sweet spot on this board now. And just going back and forth. You're not pivoting yet. You're just going up and down on the wheels. And again, take your time with this. Don't worry about holding it. Just kind of, and use these as much or as little as you want to. So once you get this thing here going, then you can start putting some pivots in. And I would start with some baby pivots, and I think they call this a penguin walk. And you can do it forward and backwards. It's basically what you just did, but you're just putting a little hip swing. You're just putting a little hip swing in each time, keeping your shoulders straight and doing this. Right? That will eventually you'll get into full swings, which turn into things that look like the monster walk. So once you got these things here going, you got your baby a little side to sides, which is not a, it's just an exercise. The other thing I want you to do when you're doing this, look at me here. See how I'm bouncing a little bit each time? If there was a pressure sensor on the floor, you'd see it going like, doo, doo, doo. And there's this point in the middle. When you're doing the jump, when you're up here on a skateboard, you have a moment of almost weightlessness before your weight starts going back down again. And if at that time your leg is coming up, your body mechanics, watch the physics videos on it, but it sort of lengthens the amount of space you have to play with, if that makes any sense. So that's why when you're doing these here, you'll see me kind of hopping a little bit. Not a lot, it's not even a hop. It's a sensation, and it's more off the toes than the body. More off the toes as you're doing these. And you can get a little higher with these. Be careful as you do. And again, this is similar to the tail stall thing that we did in a couple of videos back. Now you should be able to, do these as well. So, once you got that done, next part of the pivot I want you to do is this. Straight ahead is 90, that's 45, quarter or an eighth, depending on what language you use. Let's start with the 45, eighth of a turn. Off of the back foot, the spinning wheel, where you just go, boop, boop. You don't want that back wheel to really move that much. It's just kind of spinning. Now the neat thing about this, is watch my shoulders for a sec. I'm going to turn those 45 degrees. Now I'm just going to lift my weight from the back foot to the front foot, or front foot to the back foot, and almost automatically it goes to where I am. Your body kind of stretches out to that. So it's, as much as it's in your feet, it's in your shoulders. And it's good to get used to it early on, because that's what you're going to be chasing for this feeling. Shoulders follow. 45s, back and forth. After you've done some of those, take the pivot to the next direction. 90, if you can. 90 is a little harder, but again, it's about where you look. Now I find when I'm in here, I generally look I turn my body and I notice that my head kind of stops at the lamp, which is not fully 90, but the rest of the body happens as my body goes, my legs are winding up, then my legs come to follow, and as my legs come to follow, my body goes the rest of the way, and it becomes more of a turn for the last little bit. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me see what I'm saying here. So I turn, follows. Now see, that wasn't 90, that was more. So let me just see that again. Pretty close. So wherever I'm looking, so if I just want to go 90, just turn your body exactly 90. And the same thing happens when you go backwards. Wherever your body goes, that's where the pivot's going to go. And again, as you get more into it, bend your legs if you want to. If you are doing skating exercise, yes, bending your legs all the time is important. So, we've got baby pivots. We've got 90-degree pivots. And now we're going to do the reverse with the front foot staying on the ground. Baby pivot, 90 pivot, baby pivot, 90 pivot. So, and the beauty of that, I hate this part of being in the shed. This is not part of the exercise, but when you get your pivots going both ways, I don't know if I have enough room in here to do it, but let me just see. When you get your pivots both ways, you can kind of move wherever you want to. And these sort of movements, are kind of some of the basics of footwork. Now, I can't do a lot in here. I'm going to drop a video. I'm going to drop some, somebody who does some really good footwork. Check it out, that'll be exciting. I would suggest doing the footwork in a more open space where you can sort of go in one direction for sort of 10 or 12 feet at a time. But you can also kind of, you can play around inside. If you're going to play around inside, when you're first starting out, do it safe. Some wrist guards. When you're practicing something like really new, a new jump or a twist or something, and I know there's going to be falling involved because there is in skateboarding, I'll throw those on. There's not a lot of room, even if you lose your balance. It's easy to hit a beam, or if you do fall, there's nowhere to splay out. So if you're going to do it in this environment, do it safely. I was using the decomposed Witter board today. I love this board. It's a very modern freestyle deck, sent up by Witter himself when I bought it from his company. They're not associated with me at all, but great company. Love Witter's stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we did the pivot. 45, 90, 45, 90. Just get those things under both sides of your body going, and also backwards. It's kind of like, it kind of becomes like a dance, So get those pivots down, take your time with it. We will see you soon. Cheers.